welcome to Ask Me About K-Pop, the essential guide for recent converts and season fans alike. My name is Shannon.
And I'm Angelica.
And welcome to the show. Today we are doing an episode that we've been wanting to or like needing. I don't know if needing is the word.
We've had it on the list as a possible episode to do for a very long time and just like haven't gotten around to it because it's a revisit to a very old original founding episode.
Yes, which I think is very funny and timely because this week, as an April Fool's prank, our Discord pretended that it was 2018 for the day, like go back to when the show started, and everyone was talking in the episode discussion about the first 10 episodes and like all these groups that had debuted in the April of 2018, and it was really cute and very fun. So this feels very timely to go back and do it.
It does.
But yeah,
Always in sync.
This episode, we are redoing the 6th episode of this show, which is called Kpop Inc. So this will be Kpop Inc. Redux.
Redo.
And
Episode 6.
yes, because this is an episode that weirdly has been like dislike bombed on our YouTube channel. This episode made people really mad. Okay, boomered. Yes.
Okay, boomered about it. That's the one and only time that's ever happened in my life, and it made me laugh so hard that I liked it.
But I guess our first episode was not comprehensive enough, and people were upset that we didn't make a bigger deal about Big Hit because Big Hit was still like becoming a very big deal at the moment we were recording. And so then a couple years later, someone was really mad, and we were like, but this episode was recorded in 2018, and they said, okay, boomer. So we'll try to right some wrongs today.
Whatever. We're not righting wrongs. We're updating. I mean, K-pop, as we always say, is like a living, breathing thing that is growing and changing constantly. So like looking back now, if you were to listen to that episode, it is out of date. Like that's just a fact.
True.
The companies have changed. They've merged, they've grown, they've rebranded, like, and newer companies like K-pop now is a more fertile landscape, let's say. And so at the beginning of K-pop, it kind of did only have room for these big three, but now there's way more space for smaller companies to get a little piece of it. So we're just updating. K-pop is a new world now. It's been like 5 years or whatever. True. So whatever.
So we're just going to go through some major K-pop companies in chronological order of when they were started. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about who started them and what kind of groups they have, and if the company itself has like a distinct brand or sound or vibe or whatever, so that you can kind of tell them apart and like know the history and what have you.
Exactly.
So, let's get into it. This episode includes a lot of information from another episode that we did. I can't remember the number now, but it was called Establishing Artists, and it was about the first group at every company.
Yes.
So this is just like an extension of that, and like, I don't know, whatever. We've talked about companies, we've talked about a lot of things a lot of times.
Well, yeah, we've got over 200 episodes now. So some of this information will not be new, but it is a newly comprehensive list of major K-pop companies as it stands now in April 2023. If you are listening to this not in April 2023, don't come for us because we don't know what the future's like, okay? This is what it's like now.
Yes.
Calm down and listen to the rest.
But I did listen to episode 6 to prepare for this, so anything that was like incorrect or needed to be updated, like I will note it here.
We'll make corrections.
So you know.
We're good journalists.
All right, so let's get started. So the first company, because it was founded the oldest, is SM Entertainment, which was founded in 1989. And the founder of SM is Lee Soo-man. And in the 6th episode, I said that Lee Soo-man was the only CEO of the big three who had not been a K-pop star. Lies! I learned, and I knew this, but I didn't at the time, that Lee Soo-man debuted as a solo singer in 1977.
Oh, damn.
And I have a little clip so you can hear how good he sings. This clip is in black and white.
Oh my God, look at his hair.
And this is his song, Happiness.
This big band. I love it.
But I love it. He's actually a good singer. You can't fake being a good singer in the 70s.
No, you could not fake it. That definitely had to be live, and that was smooth as butter. And honestly, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
That's what SM is known for, is good quality vocals. So it doesn't shock me that he's a good singer.
Yeah. So he actually released 9 albums between 1977 and 1989. And one of the first records that SM ever printed was his album New Age in 1989. So he did release at least one of his own albums under his own company.
Nice. I feel like you got to.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Lee Soo-man went to college at CSU Northridge here in California, and he was inspired by American artists, particularly Michael Jackson, and he wanted to just become a music mogul. He was like,
sure.
This is my thing, and I'm going to do it.
I mean, especially if you go to college in Southern California,
right?
That's the place.
For sure.
That's the place to do it.
So Lee Soo-man is considered the mastermind behind a lot of SM's very ambitious
ambitious and
concepts.
ambiguous. That's not incorrect.
Yeah. All the wild concepts of the original concept for Super Junior and EXO and NCT and all of these things
and
were
aespa and
his brainchild.
Kwangya, etc.
Yes. He comes up with all of the ideas. And he is also an international criminal.
He is not the only criminal on this list.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But he loves stealing money. He's just he's a little thief. He was sentenced to prison in 2004 for embezzling, and we talked in the
Just a little thief.
we talked in the 2002 episode about how he had fled the country and got Interpol had to find him. Very serious. And he was also listed in the Panama Papers, which was this huge leak of people who'd done offshore tax avoiding. So he's just a little thief.
He's just a little thief.
But the funny thing is that Lee Soo-man was only the CEO of SM until 1995. And then he just had an ambiguous creative director kind of position.
Sure.
And he left the executive board in 2010. But according to every SM artist I've ever watched talk about things in documentaries or whatever, he was still in charge.
Yeah, totally.
Everything has to go through and be approved by Lee Soo-man, even though he doesn't have a real job.
Absolutely.
It's wild. But it's his company.
It's his company. Yeah, he has to approve everything for sure. And he's very involved.
Yes.
He was at the Super M concert that we went to here in LA. He's definitely not a hands-off kind of creative director, no matter what his title may or may not be.
Yeah. I definitely admit to having a soft spot for Lee Soo-man. I don't know. There's something very adorable, cringy dad about him that I just can't help but love. When he stands at the tunnel at the end of SM Town and he makes everyone hug him and he seems so happy and proud of all his kids. I'm just oh, you.
You little thief.
You little thief. But he never had any children, and his wife passed away a few years ago. But Sunny from Girls' Generation is his niece, and he also has a nephew from his wife's side that recently tried to completely undermine him and take everything away from him.
Oops.
And a fun fact about Lee Soo-man is he has a block in Koreatown that is named after him. They did it last year, I think. It's called Lee Soo-man Square.
Okay, I drove by that square the other day, and I think it now says SM Entertainment Square.
Oh no!
I don't think it says Lee Soo-man anymore.
Oh no!
And I was like, wait, was Lee Soo-man? I was like stopped at the stoplight, and I could see the sign, and it said, I think it says SM Entertainment Square now, or maybe just I think it says SM.
Okay,
but I was like, is Lee Soo-man Square somewhere else? But it's right there by the billboard. Yeah, and the building with the like SM painted on the back. So I think they might have renamed it.
Oh no, poor guy. But yeah, SM owns a building on one of the corners of this little block, and they just recently started changing the poster again, because for like 6 years it was an EXO Call Me Baby poster.
And it was faded like nobody's business. Like it was essentially black and white because it had been in the sun for so long. And there was just scaffolding like over the bottom of the building for all of those 6 years. And just recently they painted a pink mural that on the back of the building that says SM on it. So supposedly that building is supposed to be something soon, but
it should be. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But that's some info about Lee Soo-man. But the first artist officially at SM was named Hyunjin Young. He debuted in 90, and we talked in that first establishing artist episode that like he more than So Taiji or earlier than So Taiji like kind of introduced like hip hop and New Jack Swing to Korea. But I don't their most recent group is aespa, who debuted in 2020, and there's always rumors about new groups.
Sure.
We'll see. But obviously other notable artists from SM, we have our originals HOT and SES, BoA, the creator of the second generation, TVXQ, Super Junior, Girls' Generation, Shiny, EXO, NCT, Red Velvet. Like, we all know about
the
SM
groups.
And like the sound of SM, I feel like is very distinct in that like it's very polished and it kind of always has been. Like, I think they're known for having like slick production and really good singers and like super good looking idols. And like they kind of set the
perfectionist.
Yes.
Like they're a very perfectionist company for sure, especially in the way that the idols are trained, like media trained and like
they taught
like
Shiny how to walk.
And yeah, exactly. Like from head to toe, like every detail. I feel like SM is a micromanaging type of company.
Absolutely. And a lot of the sound is established by two of their in-house producers, Kenzie, who has a whole episode of this show all about all of her work, and Yoo Young Jin,
who probably will have an episode all about his work eventually.
They've both written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs for SM artists, and Yoo Young Jin himself did some solo work and some songs under SM. Kenzie never did, but those are kind of like the two main SM people responsible for what I would think of as the SM sound.
Sure.
Some other fun facts about SM. So SM essentially like created the mold of how South Korean music companies work, because Lee Soo-man's whole idea was like it needs to be a completely all-encompassing production house. Like we will do everything and manage every single aspect of an artist's career instead of like shopping it out to other companies or like we're gonna do everything,
including like training and growing the artists ourselves. Like we're going to select them, we're going to train them to be the kind of artists we want them to be, and then we're going to have singers and or songwriters and producers and like publishers and whatever all in-house so that we don't have to outsource to anybody else.
SM Culture and Contents is a separate company or division that makes all of the TV shows, whether they're scripted like To the Beautiful You or reality shows. They've also put on musicals, not just the Hologram Oz musical.
Although that was definitely their crowning jewel.
Yes, that was one thing that I loved.
Achievement.
That made me really happy in listening to the original episode of this, is that we went on and on about how we would do anything to see Oz the Hologram musical, which we did.
We have seen
did
that show.
see it.
We
did
saw it,
see
and
it.
it was just as magical and phenomenal and batshit bananas as we thought it would be.
Yes. But in addition to that, they also like paid for Chen's In the Heights stint.
Cool.
And like they've done other like musicals and whatever. They do all kinds of stuff. And they also manage a ton of like actors and TV hosts and like
Almost every single one of these companies also has a whole list of actors and other entertainers and comedians that they also represent. And then a lot of them I also saw that they'll like have listed as their artists like the groups, and then sometimes they also list the individuals as songwriters, as producers, or as like artists themselves. So it's like for a lot of these companies, when we say, oh, they have these 3 groups or they have these 5 groups, it doesn't mean they only represent those people.
yeah, there's usually
Especially
a lot.
for a company as big as SM.
Yeah, there's so much other stuff going on. They own so many other crazy things. I just wrote down the culture and contents part, but like there's so many divisions of SM. And SM Town is the collective name of all of the people that perform for SM. And they've done label concerts and albums. We've done 2 episodes about all of the SM Town like family albums that feature everybody at the same time. And also SM as a company has an official color, which is pink. It's a lovely light pink. And I don't know who started it. I'm sure they did, but like pink blood is like something that people who like SM are like, oh, I'm pink blood. Love it.
So dramatic.
So dramatic. And recently there was a very big shareholder fight that was in the news. And I didn't even try to begin to understand what was happening because I really don't care about rich people fighting about who gets more of the money that they didn't do anything to earn.
Sure.
I don't fucking care. But I know it was really complicated and there was a lot of moving parts. But Tamar Herman, K-pop journalist, made so many videos and wrote really in-depth articles explaining the whole thing. So go to her page, let her explain it to you because I can't.
Yeah.
But it's settled now, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But they like everyone's saying like Lee Sumon's really out this time.
We'll see.
So.
We'll see.
And my final note on SM is in the previous episode, we talked about the SM COEX, which was a very big building at the COEX Mall in Gangnam. And it had an SM museum and the holographic theater and all the cool stuff. They lost that lease a couple years ago and it is gone. So sad. But they do have another SM building with a cafe that you can visit. If you ever do go to Korea, you can go to the SM Town Cafe and have an expensive NCT branded cupcake. And like maybe you'll see someone. And they also said during the SM Town Kwangya New Year show that they were opening new SM Town experiences in different cities.
Yeah, supposedly we're getting one in LA.
I mean, that's got to be what that building is for.
Exactly.
But we'll see.
Again, we'll see.
We'll see.
It had a Call Me Baby poster on it for 6 years.
I feel like I will say as an SM stan, like that's I think one of the biggest characteristics of SM is making lofty promises that do not come true.
No, to be an SM stan, you have to... We'll see is the mantra of our fandom. Like, it just is. Like, oh, EXO comeback? We'll see. Like, we'll fucking see. That's all I can say.
That's all there is. So there you go. That's SM. Next on the list is DSP Media, which was founded in 1991. And the CEO or the founder of DSP Media was named Lee Ho-yeon. And he actually went to school to be a PE teacher and was a PE teacher, a high school PE teacher for a while. And then he started working at a company called Hanbat Communications in 1981. And at that job, he ended up being a manager for Sobangcha.
Hey!
Which was the boy group from the 80s that sang fun songs and they were like dancey and fun.
Kind of the first boy band.
Yes. So He, as we talked about in the establishing artist episode, he basically like, So Bangcha was like done. And then when Lee Ho-yeon started this company, he was like, come on, So Bangcha, let's make another album. I have a new company. And so that's how that went. And Lee Ho-yeon actually died in 2018, but he's remembered as like a workaholic who had a great eye for finding new talent. And the artists who work under him say that he was like endlessly supportive and encouraging and very convincing. Like a lot of them said that like they didn't want to be singers. They didn't feel like they could be. And he was very much like, no, like we can do this.
Yeah.
Like there was one Finkel member who was like, I don't know, I kind of like just want to get married and be a mom. And he was like, you can always get married. Like you can only be an idol one time. And that he was like,
that's not inaccurate.
It's not inaccurate. He received a Popular Culture and Arts Award from the president in 2015. But unfortunately, he had a brain hemorrhage in March of 2010, and his wife took over the company, which we talked about in the Kara and Double S 501 episodes, because that takeover caused so many problems for DSP, because the wife like didn't run the company the same way. And it also came out after he died that she had like made her daughter, his stepdaughter, like given her some kind of like fake high up position, and she was getting paid a lot. And like, I don't know, she didn't run the company good. So people say it was like because he got sick, that was the downfall of DSP. And he was like bedridden and in and out of comas for like 8 years. And he passed away in 2018. But I also read that like when he first got sick, Finkel like came and sang at his bedside and stuff. So like he seems like he was loved by his artists. But DSP was like a very big deal. Like in the first gen, if we're talking second, third gen, it's big three. In the first gen, there was SM and DSP, and that was kind of it. Yeah. Because DSP had Clickbee and Finkel and like Sexys and all of this stuff.
And Double S 501. Yeah. And they were founded in 1991. So like it's not, it is a few years. Like the first, I guess like 5 years of the first gen, they're literally the only two companies that exist.
Yeah, pretty much. Their first group, though, I thought this was really interesting and I wanted to look into them someday. But So Bangcha was like their legacy group, but the first group that DSP debuted was called Jam. And it's spelled Z-A-M. Zam. It was supposed to be like jam, but like with a Z.
Oh, sure.
And this was a 5-member group, 4 boys and 1 girl. And all of the pictures that were on their fan wiki, the boys were shirtless and the girl was like standing in the middle in like a jean jacket. So I was like, I want to see what the deal with Jam is.
Wow, what a vibe.
I know, right? But the most successful group at DSP is probably Sexkies, because like that was like HOT rival. Like that's there was only 2 companies, and like but unfortunately, Lee Ho-yeon got like blamed for Sexkies breaking up and got a lot of hate for it. And later, like Sexkies was like, he didn't do it. Like we all hated each other, or whatever their deal was. The most recent group to debut at DSP Media is a boy group called Mire, and I think they debuted last year.
I think that sounds right.
And as I mentioned, some of their other groups, Clickbee, Finkel, Double S 501, Kara, and Card. And the sound of DSP Media, one commonality that I found was Sweet Tune. And Sweet Tune is a 12-member production team, but Han Jae-ho and Kim Sung-soo are kind of thought of as the main 2, like the leaders of this production team. And those 2 actually started at SM and wrote Milk songs. I love Milk songs, so good stuff. And they were recruited to DSP by Lee Ho-yeon to help with the rebranding of Kara.
Which we also loved.
Yes, and we talked about in the Kara episode that there was a shift early in Kara to figure out what they were. So that was Sweet Tune who did that. And while they definitely write for a lot of companies, they're not like exclusive in-house
Yeah.
DSP people. They wrote most of the hits for Kara, Double S501, and Rainbow. So I think of them as associated, you know?
Totally.
A few other things about DSP Media that were interesting. One of the things was that they have almost 0 artists who use stage names.
Huh. That is interesting.
Yeah. Sekshki, Finkel, Kara, all
real names.
Real names.
Card.
Yes, their
BM.
card has like BM.
And Joseph?
I don't think Joseph
not
is
his
probably
real name.
not his name.
Joseph. That's definitely not his name. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting fact. But DSP Media was bought by RBW last year.
Yeah, I put that on the list. So more on that in a moment.
More on RBW in a minute. But that's DSP, like the second major label ever.
Second established company.
Next in line, we have YG Entertainment, founded in 1996 by Yang Hyun Suk. And YG comes from his nickname, which is Yangun. So that's named after him. That's what people do. And Yang Hyun Suk was a member of Sotaejian Boys, and he also put out solo albums under YG in the 90s. And as noted the first time that we talked about this, he's a creep.
I honestly, when you said his name, I almost went, boo. I literally just, because I'm going to talk a little bit more about him later, but I read an article and that was like about his interaction with this other guy on the list. And the entire article was just about everybody talking, like all these different quotes from idols he's worked with and like people on the production team of this company and like people who just happened to be in the room and saw this interaction. And every single person was like, yeah, YG is just a dick.
Yeah.
Like he's an asshole.
He
and
seems
he's
like a
rude
mean
and he speaks
person.
poorly to people. And like that's just who he is. He's hard to work with. And I was like, what the fuck? That sucks. That's the entire article. It was just like, this guy sucks.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the sucky things that he did is that he married one of his own artists after purposefully tanking her group, Sweetie, because he didn't want them to be popular and he didn't want to share her. And also he met her when she was a child, so barf. They have 2 daughters, whatever. He's nasty. And he's also a criminal and a worse one than Lee Soo-man, I think. He had to step down from his job at YG in 2019 because of his involvement in Burning Sun and threatening people and all kinds of bad things. He was recently acquitted and is back at it, but like, boo.
Yeah. There's just like a whole list of criminal charges. And then like the whole Burning Sun thing is its own like massive story that we're not going to go into.
No,
so just
today.
know that YG is a criminal in a class that is, I think, I agree with you, different from the other criminals on this list. Because like I said, there's multiple criminals on this list. Corporate higher ups tend to be criminals.
Yeah.
And that's true in K-pop as well.
Sure
But this
is.
guy
Blech.
is like evil.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like this guy's worse.
He's no good.
This guy's worse.
No good. But
anyway.
but YG's first group was called Keep Six.
Okay.
And their most successful group is probably a toss-up between Big Bang and Blackpink. Maybe Blackpink, because of just time-wise, has probably made more money at this point.
In like a shorter period of time too. But yeah, I don't know. Most successful group is like a hard thing to quantify.
I like wrote it down, but then I was like,
Yeah. You didn't even mention it for SM.
because I was like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it's EXO. I don't know. I truly don't know.
Yeah, but maybe it's like
Maybe
BoA
it's,
or TVXQ
I
or
don't
like
even know.
I don't know.
Whatever. I was trying
And
to
I didn't look into anybody's like profit margins or like
I
how
don't
much
care.
money are these companies worth. Like I don't fucking care.
I don't know or care. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Money is just numbers in a computer.
I just want to watch people dance.
I just want to watch them dance. Do the dance, boys.
The most recent group at YG is an upcoming girl group called Baby Monster that is going to debut at some point this year. They are currently doing a reality show about their formation that is also mean.
Sure.
And yeah, we'll see how that goes. But some other notable artists from YG, One Time was like their first gen boy band. Jin Yushan, like a rap duo. Seven, who was like Rain's rival.
We just talked about him
Just
in
talked
our
about his
Time Machine
debut.
episode.
21, Akmu, Treasure.
And as you already said, Big Bang and Blackpink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the sound of YG, I feel like more than most companies, is definitely very like hip hop focused.
Absolutely.
Like, that's what they make. And I think someone who's very responsible for YG's sound is Teddy. And Teddy was a member of One Time, who started by like writing lyrics for One Time and for Jin Yushan, and then eventually just started making and producing way more. And so he's the lead producer of every single 21 and Blackpink album. And he, a couple of years ago, got his own little sub label at YG called the Black Label.
Yeah. And that has a lot of soloists on
Yeah.
it. Like I know, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I know of like a few different like boy groups that where the members have like left their companies and they signed onto Black Label.
The big bangs that are left are at Black Label now.
Yeah, for sure.
Some other interesting facts about YG. They have 2 exclusive dance teams, which I think is interesting because not a lot of companies do that. A lot of companies, like there are dance teams and then the companies like hire them, but YG has their own dance companies. One is called High Tech and the other one is called Crazy, and Crazy is only girls.
Oh, interesting.
YG's family thing is called YG Family, and they released their first album in 1999. And those are like compilation rap albums. They all featured like G-Dragon before he was in Big Bang, like Kid G-Dragon. And
He was like 13.
yeah, wild stuff. And they've done 11 YG Family concerts all throughout history. YG also has their own training academy called X Academy, where they train people and they aren't necessarily YG trainees. It's like a step before getting accepted. Like it's like
I saw that in a
idol
couple other companies too. They have like training camps, but those trainings are not necessarily like the company
officially
trainees.
hired
Yeah.
trainees. Yeah. And YG is famous for publicly fighting with TV stations. They got in a big...
I feel like they're famous for just like getting into trouble.
Trouble.
Like, they're just famous for
We
being...
said that
they're
in
the
the
bad
first
kids.
episode. They're the bad kids at the
that
table.
are smoking in the bathroom and like spray painting the wall. They're all wearing their leather jackets and they don't go to the pep rallies. Like,
Exactly.
That's YG.
So they got in a fight with Mnet, even though both companies own shares in each other. Like YG owns a piece of Mnet and Mnet owns a piece of YG.
Okay.
But they got in a fight over something years ago. And so YG artists do not appear on Mnet.
Right. That's why they're never at like the mamas and stuff.
Yeah. They also protested SBS in 2004 because Sung like they didn't approve one of his songs for broadcast or something, and so YG
broadcast.
And so YG was just like, fuck y'all, and so they didn't do SBS for a long time, and then they started beefing with KBS in 2010
Just
because
knocking them off the list.
because 21 wasn't winning awards and they like didn't win and they weren't like winning mamas or whatever. So no YG artists have appeared on KBS since 2010 except for G-Dragon on a single episode of Sketchbook.
Wow.
Beef.
Petty beef.
And like, yeah, my last note is that it's a generally very drama-filled company with drugs and sex crimes and YG himself being mean and ruthless and just like fucking shit up by being an asshole. Like Mix 9 never debuted because of his crimes. Like Treasure's debut got pushed back because of his crimes. Like trouble. Ugh. So there you go. That's YG.
Onto a very different side of the cafeteria.
Absolutely. So next up is JYP, which was founded in 1997 by Park Jin Young. And Park Jin Young debuted as a soloist in 1994 after previously having a band called the Park Jin Young Experience. Then he became solo.
Still tours on its own.
Absolutely, he does. He has released 8 full albums and 17 singles between 1994 and 2022. And JYP is generally regarded as like everyone's cringy uncle that they're like very embarrassed by.
Even though some people hear us say that and are like, what's the deal with all the JYP hate? And it's like, I don't know, man. We don't hate JYP. We just think he's very silly.
He just gives me secondhand embarrassment.
Silly person. I can't quantify it for you.
He doesn't have like crime scandals or whatever. He might be in a cult. It's never been proven.
Okay, interesting. No criminal charges.
No
though.
criminal
Good for
charges. And he did get like a lot of like weird flack in his early days for like being outwardly sex positive. Like people were like, you can't talk about that naughty stuff.
Yeah.
JYP.
And like his idols get sex ed.
Yeah.
Which is very smart.
It is very smart.
They don't have dating scandals or sex scandals.
True.
Or unplanned pregnancies at JYP.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's true.
Chansung did have a shotgun wedding, but he's old now. So I guess that's fine.
He waited after the military though.
Yeah, true. Anyway, but his artists do seem to love him, like in a way that they also seem weirdly embarrassed by him.
Totally.
But they love him.
Yeah.
He has been married twice and he has 2 daughters. And he was the first K-pop CEO to really try and break into the US. We talked about this in our K-pop in America and Wonder Girls episodes because it was a very mediocre level of success and it was mostly just legal and financial trouble for him. It didn't go well. One of the things I saw on a fan wiki was that like people think of JYP as being a person who like kind of constantly just misses the mark a little bit. Like he tries things too early, or like there's stories of him like passing on artists who go on to be very famous, or like JYP's just always like a step behind, or like he made just the wrong decision or whatever. But anyway, our first a correction from last time is that we said that Rain was the first artist at JYP, and that is not true. It was a solo gal named Pearl who was first, actually. But Rain was probably the first like major hit. The most recent group to come out of JYP is NMIX, a girl group. And obviously some other notable JYP artists. You've got Rain, the Wonder Girls, Miss A, 2PM, 2AM, GOT7, Twice, Stray Kids. ITZY. And I think that
sounds like all of them.
That sounds like about the right. I probably missed someone important. Maybe not. I don't know. Those are the JYP people.
We'll find out in the comments. Someone will come and yell at us.
Sure
Don't
will.
worry.
The sound of JYP is very funny to me because the sound of JYP is JYP.
And also literally
JYP. Yes, because everyone at JYP sings like him, because I think that he is a CEO who is even more deeply hands-on. Like everyone sings like JYP because I think he does the vocal training.
Yeah.
And like he is so heavily involved in debuts and comebacks usually. And you can tell if a song is his if he whispers JYP in the intro.
Yes.
And he also usually is singing the backup vocals on songs that he wrote himself.
Yeah. I just recently, I don't remember why we were talking about this, but Sunmi's debut was on an episode of something that we just recently did. And he is involved in every single aspect. He did the backing vocals. He wrote the song. He produced it. He composed it. He did the backing instruments. He like directed the music video. Like it's like JYP by JYP for JYP with JYP, like etc.
Mark Jacobs JYP. Exactly. So that's the sound. The sound is his and what he wants it to be. JYP has 3 sub-labels now that like this is an interesting thing of these like sub-labels, and the only way that I can understand it is from my experience in the entertainment industry, like working at a podcast company that got bought several times, is like one of the people that bought us was like very hands off and was like, here's money for whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
We'll leave you alone. Some of the other companies were like, we're changing everything and we're in charge now. So like, I don't know. It's all very dependent on how each company works. But usually a sub-label is like, we're putting this team in charge and they get to decide the branding and we'll just step back and pay for it or whatever you want. So they have J-Tune, which I thought was Rain's, but it's not. I can't remember who's at J-Tune. I didn't write it down.
We talked
But that
about
name
J-Tune.
is so familiar to me.
Yeah, we talked about J-Tune like in the Rain deep dive, I'm pretty sure. Now I have to Google it. It was founded by Rain, but it is a subsidiary.
Okay.
Yeah. He started, that's right, remember, because he started his own company. He left JYP and started J-Tune, but then, and like they kept in touch or whatever, but then eventually after he came out of the military, he sold J-Tune to JYP because I think he couldn't afford it.
Right.
So it was started by Rain, but it is a subsidiary of JYP.
Okay, yes. And then they have Studio J, which does like Day 6 and Extraordinary Heroes or however.
Extraordinary Heroes, I think is how you say
But why is it just extraordinary? That's how it's spelled.
Is it?
It's just XDINARY. Extraordinary.
Oh, the strord is implied.
And then there's Squad, which is the newest one, and it's spelled SQU 4D. And this is there's a lady in charge of it, I think. The first woman to ever be in charge of anything at JYP.
Ooh.
And she debuted NMIX.
Okay.
They also have branches in China, the US, Japan, and Hong Kong. And they own a bunch of stuff like KT Music and Naver Flow, which we talked about in the chart episode. They also have a publishing company and a TV and movie production studio because JYP has also released some dramas like Dream High and Dream Night and all of those shows.
And I'm pretty sure they're turning Dream High into like a stage musical.
Ooh, that will be fun.
Yeah, I think I heard that a while ago.
JYP's family thing is called JYP Nation. They've only done like 3 albums and 5 little concert tours as a group, but they do that as well. And something interesting about JYP, I didn't have time to like real dig in and fact check to see who was first. Maybe they were first, but 5 of the current JYP group were not 5. Yeah, because 2PM still current. We're all formed on survival shows.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't know if he was the first person to do that or not, but like a lot of his groups are like, we're going to have a TV show and then you're going to watch us pick them.
Interesting.
And I feel like that endears people to groups more or just causes weird beef. Because like one of the things that people say he fucked up is that John Solmi did not get into Twice.
Right.
And then she got real famous by herself. And so people are like, you messed up, JYP. But she's probably fine.
She seems fine.
And Twice is fine too. Everyone's fine. Oh, that I will just give you a moment. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows. But another thing that you said in the 6th episode is that you do not like Twice. Would you like to update that?
That is a correction. True. Absolutely. I love Twice. Twice is great. I was wrong. I didn't like them then, but I love them now.
And my final note for JYP is that, like the SM building, you can visit the JYP building in Korea and they have a public cafe on the first floor. So like you're allowed to go in and hang out and whatever. Yeah. So if you want to visit JYP, you can. All right, next up in the timeline is Woolim Entertainment, which was founded in 2003 by Lee Jong-yup. And Lee Jong-yup was born in 1974 in Busan. And he moved from Busan to Seoul to be an actor. But he got a job moving equipment for concerts and then slowly found his way like into the music business.
What a fun story.
Yeah. And I found an interview quote from him where he said once, "In Korea, idol singers can survive only when they're cleaner than priests." Nonsense. But they live with it An idol is someone who shows their life to countless people and earns their living by being constantly criticized, despised, and loved.
Yikes. True.
Yeah.
But harsh.
Yeah. So Lee Jung-yup does not write or produce any music himself, but claims to have come up with all of the ideas for everything that Infinite ever did and had the final say in like all of their activities. And he says he like came up with the music videos and like he came up with everything, but he does not seem to have any music writing credits or skills, but he was very involved. He also was quoted once as saying that he doesn't care about charts and that he doesn't even have a Melon account and like doesn't even look at those things.
Fair enough.
But he got in really big trouble in 2020 because he got drunk on a live stream with Infinite Sungkyu and another guy. And he was super drunk and he called Sungkyu fat. And then he like hit one of the other guys and was like swearing at him. And he was like, did you just hit me on camera? And he was like, so what? So what if I hit you? And he had to publicly apologize for being a drunk mess. And I also saw that on like the Korean version of Glassdoor, which is a website where after you quit a job, you can go like anonymously review it. And basically on the Korean version of Glassdoor, people who worked at Woolim say that like, oh, it's a really like, it's a tight knit company and everyone feels like family. But because of that, the CEO uses very abusive language with everyone in a like, but we're friends. I can talk to you how I want. Oh. So like, yeah, he might be kind of a dick. But Woolim's first group was Epic High.
Okay.
And their most recent group is Drippin', who debuted in 2020. And some other notable Woolim artists throughout history are Infinite, Kwon Eun-bi, Lovelyz, Golden Child, and Rocket Punch. And I didn't really have a way to like quantify their sound, but like I feel like Woolim always made like K-pop-y K-pop.
Very
like,
K-pop.
all of these groups are
totally.
groups that I think of as like, they make K-pop.
Yeah, Infinite, Golden, every single one of these. Especially like Rocket Punch, they're one of my new favorites. Like, very, very like fitting the mold and like the current trends of whatever K-pop is.
Woolim was like essentially bought out by SM in 2013. They still have like run independently all of this time, but like SM owns them somehow. So that's Woolim.
Great.
The next one I had on the list, and this was the same problem I came up with in the Establishing Artist episode because it does not make any sense to me. But I have to at least mention that this company exists because you'll see the name. But Kakao M/Lowen Entertainment was technically founded in 2005 to debut IU, but the company itself originally started in 1978 as a company called Soul Records that made language learning cassette tapes. Okay. We talked about that then. But this company is incredibly confusing because Kakao is a huge, huge, huge monopoly that owns so many things.
So many things.
Kakao has like huge shares in like basically every company on this list. Like Kakao owns everything.
Yeah. And they have like shares in other things than just entertainment.
Right.
Because like Kakao is a messaging app. And then there's like, they, I think, have like phone services and like internet providers. And then I also think that they have like food production companies and like they literally do everything.
Yeah, they do everything.
It's a major, major company.
But the plain like Kakao label, which I think is now called Epix, only has IU and Woods as like artists, but they own so many other companies. Yeah. Whatever. I just had to mention it that one exists, but I can't make sense of it or how it makes any sense.
And I feel like in general, aside from IU and Woods, Kakao seems to be like a sort of behind the scenes or just like more of like the silent investor of these K-pop companies, because there's a lot of them on this list that are subsidiaries of Kakao or Lone, but like the artists themselves are not represented by Kakao, they're represented by such company or whatever.
Yeah, all of this is very complicated.
Whatever, capitalism.
Okay.
Moving on.
Speaking of complicated, here we go. Next up is we'll start with the now sub-label, but the founding label of Big Hit Music, which was founded in 2005 by Bang Si-hyuk, who is also known by the pseudonym Hitman Bang.
Yeah.
Because he got his start as a writer for JYP. He wrote so many like hits in the first gen and was like the director of like had a very high up position at JYP until he left to start his own company. He has 14 major awards as a song producer, like song producer of the year and stuff. And I do want to do a Hitman Bang dive.
Yeah, producer dive.
Very soon, because I want to get into like these hits that earned him this name.
Yeah, Hitman.
Of being the Hitman. And I feel like Bang Si-hyuk is kind of low key compared to a lot of these other founders. He seems like kind of a shy person that isn't as interested in the spotlight as like JYP is.
Oh yeah, or even Lee Soo-man, like in the sense that like Lee Soo-man does not shy away from like being in like Boa's reality show or being in the I Am documentary or being at the concert or whatever.
Or
like,
wearing
he's
his conductor outfit in Kwangya Express videos.
Exactly. But like Bang Si-hyuk kind of like he seems more reclusive. Like he doesn't really get like he doesn't speak a lot publicly, I feel like.
And I saw like an interview with Boo from 17 and they asked about like, oh, Pledis got bought by Big Hit. Like, have you met Hitman Bang? And he said like, we had to literally ask, like months went by and we'd never met the CEO. And I like asked somebody like, can we meet him? And he was like, oh, sure. I just thought you didn't want to. And I thought I would just stay out of it. I didn't want to pressure you. And so like, I don't know. He seems very like hands off and like unassuming. And like a little bio I read about him was like, he was a very shy kid who like didn't like to play sports and was just kind of obsessed with music. And like, I don't know, he seems to have a much more low key personality than a lot of these other CEOs, but who knows?
Interesting.
The first group at Big Hit was Glam, and we talked way more in that Establishing Artist episode about all the problems with Glam.
Yeah, and we've also gotten them in the random game where we learned about them for the first time.
And the newest group at Big Hit is New Jeans, and obviously they are BTS and TXT are kind of the only other groups that are actually under the Big Hit label. Because in 2021 because Big Hit is so big and had their hands in so many things and owned so much stuff, it was like, okay, we need like a rebrand and a parent company. So now the whole endeavor is called HYBE, but TXT and BTS get to stay under
Big Hit.
And then everybody else is now under this bigger HYBE label. So
and then under a sub-label from that as well.
Yes. But also K-Will and 8 and were under Big Hit at one point. And then Adore is the parent company for New Jeans. And the lady who runs that seems to be a piece of shit as well. Then they also have Source, which is what LE SSERAFIM is under. Then they have B-Lift, which is what Enhypen is under.
Interesting that all of these sub-labels essentially have only one group.
Because then it's just like, I'm sure it's just to keep, because this endeavor of HYBE is so big now and has their hands in so many things. I'm sure they just want like focus teams to pay attention to like just this group so that people don't get spread too thin is probably or so that they can blame someone else.
Have one specific team
like,
to point. It's your fault. You only had one artist.
They also bought Zico's label, which is called Koz.
I think it's KOZ.
KOZ?
I don't know.
So that's the other HYBE subsidiary as well. It's Pledis, which we'll talk about Pledis on its own because I think they
still run independently as well.
And the sound of Big Hit is mostly due to Hitman Bang, as well as P-Dog, Slow Rabbit, Supreme Boy, and then RM, J-Hope, and Suga from BTS make the majority of the music for people under Big Hit. And yeah, as I explained, Hybe is now the name of the parent company for all the sub companies because they own so many things. And a notable thing is that in 2021, Big Hit or Hybe made 1.2 trillion won.
Wow.
And was the first South Korean music agency to pass 1 trillion won, which is 838 million American dollars. Whew. So they're printing money over there. They also started Hybe America, which is run by Scooter Braun, who is a bad person. So boo. And they also
so many bad people in the music industry.
I know.
Like really high up in the music industry, just like bad people.
I know.
I'm even thinking back to like whatever. You know what? We're not here to talk about that.
It's fine. Hybe has their own social media app that is called Weverse, and they established this in 2019. And if you've noticed, if you are fans of any other artists, they have been working on getting every other company to move to Weverse. Mm-hmm. They bought and killed VLive to put more people on Weverse, and like part of the SM fight was like Hybe wanted SM because they just want everyone on their app.
Yeah.
Like I think that Hybe has gotten so rich because they're like, they do everything themselves and are like, we have our own TV channel and our own apps and our own website, and you have to come to us and we don't share.
Yeah. Well, and then in the case with like VLive, they've gotten so big and they have so much money that they can buy another company and then just be like, well, we don't want you to compete with ours, so we'll just get rid of you now because like we bought you, so now we don't need you anymore. And it's like, oh, well, like, I don't know. Is that what happened with GFriend? Is that what happened with Newest? Like, are you guys just buying stuff so that you can get rid of
the competition? I don't know.
But it's a suspicious pattern.
And I definitely saw like there were some pretty troubling quotes that came out of like Hybe executives during the SM fight. Like the people in charge of Hybe, like this is just capitalism is a disease and greed is a disease. But they just kept talking about how like K-pop is dying. Like it's not growing as fast as it used to. And if it doesn't infinitesimally grow, then we're all failing. And it's like, calm down. Like, I don't know. I don't like this idea that like K-pop's dying because it's not getting me rich as fast as it did last year. Like it's not dying. It's actually like better than it's ever been, actually.
Yeah. I was like, I feel like that's just patently wrong. Like as somebody who's been documenting the growth of K-pop, I would have to disagree.
I disagree. And also tease for a K-pop The Cork that I'm still working on, but somebody wrote in a screed in that episode as part of their answer.
Things they don't like.
And they essentially said that Hybe is straight up evil.
Yeah, they did. I remember reading that and being like, wow, that was not really about the prompt, but I like it.
But yeah, they used their moment to say something. So look forward to that.
Look forward to that. Not our words. They're
not
yours.
Mine, but someone else said that they are evil. So we will see.
All right, next on the timeline is Cube, which was founded in 2006, originally as Play Cube Incorporated. We've talked about Cube in several episodes, a few bonus episodes as well that were less factual and more
ranty.
But Cube was founded by Hong Sung-sung and Shin Jung-hwa, aka Simon Hong and Monica Shin. Simon was the former president of JYP and then left that company to establish Cube. But Hong actually resigned from Cube in April 2020 after an ownership dispute that I didn't really look too much into because I don't care, but also seemed to be kind of nasty. And he was like, very bitter about this fact that I guess he got kicked out because he said, quote, "It didn't take much time for me to realize they, whom I thought would be good partners that provide mutual help, had no intentions of working together with me." Because basically Cube got like bought out by a larger investor. And then I think the larger investors were like, "We don't want you. We want Monica." So Monica's the current CEO.
Okay, good for her. I wonder if that feels like it would make for a rough time at home.
Yeah. Yes, I would think so. I would think so. Oh, well, I don't know if they're a couple.
Oh, I thought it
Did
said...
I say that they're... No. That's
that's a different company. Oh my God. Excuse me.
No. They
like,
I
well,
don't think are a couple. No. I mean, maybe they were. I don't know. But anyway, she's in charge now and he doesn't work there anymore.
Okay.
Their very first group was 4 Minute, the 5-girl group with Hyuna in it, of course. And as far as most successful, again, like I didn't really write that down for most of these, but I would argue maybe Beast, because they, at the time of the dispute when Beast left, were 45% of their shares or of their sales. And that seems like a insanely huge amount. So I can only imagine that like it's got to be them. But maybe at this point it's G-Idol. So who knows? I didn't look up numbers. That's just an estimate. I'm like, well, I don't know if I had to pick of all of these. Their most recent group, though, is a girl group that debuted just a couple years ago called Lightsome. Other notable artists from across time are Gina, CLC, Hyuna, Troublemaker, B2B, which was originally under a sub-label called Cube DC and then merged with Cube in 2019. Pentagon, Jo Kwon as a soloist, G-Idol, Lightsome, and technically KDA because some of the members of G-Idol are in KDA.
Yeah.
Then we have A Cube, which is one of their subsidiaries. So A Cube manages A Pink. And so A Pink was originally, I think we discussed this in the A Pink deep dive, but so they were originally a subsidiary of Cube. But then in 2015, Lowen bought majority shares in A Cube and it became a label independent of Cube, solely under Lowen as Plan A Entertainment. So A Pink is not represented by Cube anymore, but was originally under a sub-label. Their sound, they have a pretty varied sound from artist to artist because Cube is known for having, quote, self-composing and self-producing idols. So a lot of their artists, they don't really have like in-house songwriters and producers. Their in-house songwriters and producers are like, they were the members of Beast, or like they are like Hui and like Jinho and like Soyeon and like etc.
Right.
So the members themselves are like the songwriters. They have multiple subsidiaries. There's Music Cube Japan, Cube DC, Cube Japan, Cube Entertainment Japan, Starline Entertainment, Cube TV Hangtime, and UCube, which is a joint subsidiary with Universal Music Japan. So Cube is really big and they got a lot of shit. Next on the timeline is FNC. FNC Entertainment was founded in 2006, originally as a subsidiary under Mnet Media. It was called FNC Music. The name stands for Fish and Cake because the CEO is super Christian, and it's about that story of the like feeding the crowd
and the
of
fishes.
the loaves and the fishes.
Yes.
So the CEO or founder, I should say, is Han Song-ho. He is a singer and a record producer who debuted in 1999, but he didn't have much success as a soloist. After he debuted, he released one album that I believe was called Good Day. And then he had a brief stint in a boy group called B, which I could find zero information on.
Yeah, sure.
But I think he definitely like always wanted to be a singer, and like that sort of failure in his own solo career is what pushed him to become a producer, because he said, quote, "I think that is why I put FT Island up on stage, because they would accomplish my unfulfilled dreams. That is also why I put C and Blue up on stage as well." So this guy's living vicariously through his artists for sure.
At least he admit it.
He's not delusional about it.
A lot of these other guys should admit it.
JYP would not say that out loud. This guy knows what he's about. Their their first group was FT Island, and their most recent group is Cherry Bullet. But other notable artists are, like I said, CN Blue, N Flying, AOA, SF9, P1 Harmony. Cherry Bullet is technically under a subsidiary label called FNCW, which is specifically for the management of girl groups.
Because they really blew that AOA thing, so I'm sure they had to put some oversight on this or something to make sure they weren't bullying each other.
Yeah, in 2021, FNC established 2 sub-labels. FNCB, which is a joint venture with How Entertainment and focuses on trot music, which is fun, so we should look into that later. And then FNCW, which specializes in the management of girl groups and currently only manages Cherry Bullet. So hopefully they're getting along. We'll see. But they also have a pre-debut group that they've already announced that is called Hi-Fi Unicorn with an exclamation point instead of an I in unicorn.
I love that.
This is a 5-member South Korean and Japanese boy group that is set to debut early this summer. And they apparently were put together on the SBS show, The Idol Band Boys Battle, or they won that show. I don't know what that show is, but they won it.
Great.
FNC also has FNC Japan, which manages Prekill, a 5-member Japanese girl group that was also formed on a TV show. They debuted in January of 2022, and their name comes from the English words princess and kill because they're, quote, princesses who are here to kill the stage. And I just thought that was really funny, so I had to write it down. And their sound also has a lot of variety in it, but they are the kind of main company behind the bands that are on the K-pop scene. So especially with their first 2 major groups being FT Island and CN Blue, and then now still representing N Flying, that's kind of their thing.
Yeah.
Although they've expanded for sure with like P1 Harmony and SF9.
Right.
Cherry Bullet.
Because SF9 won Dance or Band.
Right.
And they chose dance.
Exactly. And well, isn't that why N Flying is a band?
Yes. I think so.
I think so.
That sounds right.
Don't quote me on that. Okay, next in the timeline, we have Pledis. Pledis was founded in 2007 by Han Song-soo. And the name Pledis comes from the Pledis star cluster in the constellation Taurus. And their goal is, quote, to nurture K-pop idols, stars in training, to become the most luminous stars of K-pop.
Okay.
But I didn't really look into Han Song-soo. I just realized I was looking into Pledis instead. So
okay.
Whatever. We don't know who he is. But their first artist was a soloist named Son Dam-bi, who was regarded by media outlets when she first debuted as the female Rain. Most successful group, definitely 17. I could say that without having to look up any statistics. Sure. I feel pretty confident in saying that it's 17. But their most recent group is Promise 9, who debuted several years ago.
In 2018, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were in our first support girl group. So they do not churn out the groups at Pledis for sure. But they do have other notable artists. Newest, Hello Venus, which was a joint venture with Fantagio, and Pristin. They also had After School, Orange Caramel, Busoksun, and Bumzu as a soloist. And they currently have an unnamed 5-member boy group that is in their pre-debut stages.
Okay.
They have been announced to debut sometime in 2023, so sometime this year. But Hoshi actually just recently introduced all 5 of the trainees to the crowd during the Carrotland last month.
Okay.
The boys were in the audience and they were wearing masks, and so Hoshi was like, I'm not supposed to do this. Actually, I think the CEO will probably get mad. And Coops was like, should we do it then? And Hoshi was like, yeah, screw it. And then he wrote it over here and he said, everybody put your hoods up, like put your hoods on. And so he like introduced his babies to the crowd and said, no one knows where life will go, so fighting. And then the Busoksun song played and the 5 little trainees like did the choreo. And it was really, really cute. So we will see what comes out of that. They are their identities have yet to be revealed.
All right.
As far as the Pledis sound goes, I would say listen to our Bumzu deep dive and newest deep dive.
Yep.
And like, that's the
That's
Pledis
it.
sound.
It's Bumzu, baby.
Yeah, their in-house producers are Bumzu, Woozy, Beko, and female soloist Shannon. And like, that's it. And those are the people who write all of the Pledis music. Pledis is now owned by Hybe, but still operates as its own entity. Big Hit bought majority shares. So Hybe became the parent label and is now the main distributor for Pledis. But as we just said in talking about Big Hit, Hitman Bang is like not involved in what Pledis is doing. And they also have Pledis Japan and a Chinese division called XS Entertainment, I'm assuming is how that's pronounced.
I would guess.
It's XCSS. So I'm
XS
going to take a
sounds right.
wild guess.
Yeah.
And say it's XS.
I say do it.
Next up, in 2008, we had Starship Entertainment. This is the company that was founded by a couple.
Okay, there we go.
Kim Shide and So Hyun Jun, along with Kim Young Suk. Kim Shide was a road manager for the co-ed group Cool from the first gen, and she worked for Big Hit from 2005 to 2007, and then So Hyunju, worked for JYP. So they both had experience in the music industry before deciding to start their own company.
That was definitely like an interesting pattern that I noticed, that like as the years go on, a lot of these CEOs like started at one of the original companies and cut their teeth there, and then we're like, I can do this myself.
Which totally makes sense with like the evolution of the industry itself. I love, it's so fun to look back on it like so many years later and
think
see
it's
how
so
interesting. How all the dominoes fell.
Butterfly effects through the
Exactly.
industry.
So Starship's first group or first artist was K-Will, who is a soloist. We talked more about that about him in the Establishing Artists episode. Their most recent group is IVE, a girl group who has been taking the world by storm.
They're
So
perfect.
popular.
First perfect all kill of 2023 went to IVE this week.
Nice.
From our chart
Congrats.
episode, if you remember
Love
what
it.
that means.
Yeah. Did you do your homework? Have you been paying attention? There will be a test. Other notable groups from Starship Entertainment: Sistar, Monsta X, WJSN, which is also called Cosmic Girls, Boyfriend, and Gravity. Some subsidiaries, they have Starship X, which I think is more of like a hip hop label. They represent Mad Clown. They have House of Music, which is mostly independent artists. And they were renamed Highline Entertainment a few years ago. And then they also have King Kong by Starship, which is for actors.
All right.
Starship Entertainment was bought by Loen, aka Kakao M, not too long ago, and they have previously partnered with other companies like Mnet in order to produce the show No Mercy, which is what gave us Monsta X. And they also partnered with a company called Yuhua Entertainment, which we'll talk about in a minute, in order to manage WJSN. And they no longer co-manage Yuhua Entertainment. They no longer co-manage WJSN with Yuhua Entertainment, but I'll talk about that
when we get
talk
there.
About Yuhua.
Okay, great.
Next up, WM. This was founded in 2008, and it is not Woolim Entertainment.
Right.
It's different because this one was founded by Lee Won Min. So that's where we get the WM. And this is where I found out that YG is just a dick to everyone. Because Lee Won Min was a former singer who debuted in 1995 with this like pretty great pop ballad funk disco album.
Okay, cool.
But then he worked as a manager for a while. So like after he was a soloist himself, he started managing artists. He managed the girl group Papaya, and he was YG's manager when he was a soloist.
Oh boy.
And so the article that I read was from this like I don't even remember what the show was, but it was some reality show where like a bunch of different CEOs were working together.
Okay.
And when YG walked in, like Wonmin is older than him, and he like walked in and still called him manager and was like very like casual and like flippant, and like Wonmin was clearly like he took it like nicely but was clearly like, ugh, this guy and his shit. And then everybody else in the room like talked about how uncomfortable it was like when he left.
Eek.
And they were like, it's so rude to call him by that old title, like he's a CEO now, like that's really fucked up, whatever. It was like bad vibes. But anyway, he started his own company in 2008 with the first artist was a soloist, Taegun, and his most recent artist is also a soloist, Lee Chaeyeon.
She's the eyes one who is sisters with the ITZY.
Yeah, all those eyes ones now are like spread out.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of them are going solo as opposed to like others that kind of got scooped up and put into groups. We're getting more soloists this generation.
Because all the IOI groups seem deeply cursed. So it seemed like the eyes ones were like, maybe it'll be safer to just be alone.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
That's not what this is about.
No.
Other notable artists from WM is B1A4, Oh My Girl, On and Off. And this company was acquired by RBW in 2021. So WM is now a subsidiary of RBW. Also founded in 2008. 2008 was a big year for new companies.
Yeah, seems like it.
Now we have Brave Sound Entertainment, which was founded by Kang Dong-chul, aka Brave Brothers. As we've said many times, this is just one person, but his producer name is Brave Brothers. He used to be a producer and composer for YG and collaborated with Starship for a lot of Sistar's discography. We talked mostly about Black Eyed Pilsung in the Sistar deep dive because they wrote their like title tracks, but Brave Brothers wrote a lot of their B-sides. And so and it was stuff. Like it was like he I guess signed some sort of contract with Starship because it was listed as an official collaboration, but I don't know. Anyway, he has a background in organized crime.
Oh boy!
He has 12 violence-related crimes in his past, and he used to own a, quote, room salon business, which is a brothel.
Holy shit.
He talked openly about this on a TV show where he was discussing his life before running his own company and being a musician. And apparently it was his love of Cypress Hill
Oh my God.
that made him decide to quit crime and pursue music instead.
Wow.
He also claimed in that same insane interview that he, quote, cannot read music. I don't even know the musical chords.
Wow. I love failing upwards forever. Like, that's wild. That's wild.
Bananas.
The only time I've ever seen Brave Brothers in anything was on Queendom 2. And as a ploy to try to get Brave Girls votes, he showered the crowd in fake dollar bills that had his
own face
picture
on
in
it.
the middle.
And similar to JYP, his songs must start with Brave Sound.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, his first group was Brave Girls, and his really only other notable artist is the boy group DKB.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it.
That's all they got.
So now we have Yuhua Entertainment, and we kind of have to put a little asterisk on their inclusion in the list because Yuhua Entertainment was founded in 2009 by Du Hua. But Yuhua is a huge Chinese entertainment company that produces music, TV, movies, and all kinds of other stuff. But it established a Korean branch in 2014 and has collaborated with several other Korean companies. So it's worth at least mentioning.
Yeah, I wanted to mention it because it seems like the fun like reverse of like all these K-pop idols or companies are like, oh, we have a China branch or a Japanese branch to try to spread. I love it being the other direction of a Chinese company being like, we need to make some K-pop.
Exactly. So they have an Yuhua Entertainment still to this day has an office in Gangnam, and they provide trainees to other companies. So their very first group that they actually debuted and managed themselves was called Unique. And their other notable artists artists. They have Everglow, Tempest, soloist Che Yana. They do still manage Wang Yibo of Unique. And then they also manage Cheng Xiao, Chu Xuanyi, and Meng Mei Ji of formerly of WJSN, because Yuhua has collaborated with companies like Pledis and Starship to provide trainees and co-manage groups. So originally, Yuhua and Starship Entertainment together managed WJSN. And those last three women that I just named were the Chinese members of WJSN. But then, because of very complicated relations and things to do with that I'm not going to get into, they had to pull the ladies of WJSN. So those three girls are still managed under Yuhua Entertainment, but they're now back in China. They're being actresses and doing things that are not related to WJSN at all.
Makes sense to me.
So yeah, so Yuhua is still enormous and still has an office in Seoul.
Beautiful.
Then we have RBW. RBW was founded in 2010 as Rainbow Bridge Agency by Kim Jin-woo and Kim Do-hoon. They were both former directors at Cube before establishing RBW, so they worked together at Cube and then decided, let's do this ourselves.
Okay, yeah.
Their very first group was a hip-hop trio called Phantom, and they were co-managed with a company called Brand New Music. But other notable artists from RBW are Mamamoo, OneUs, OneWe, Purple Kiss, Kara, currently.
The new combined version of Kara.
Mm-hmm. And a vocal group that kept coming up on all the lists called Vromance, also sometimes called Bromance.
Oh, cute.
Adorable. So they have an interesting concept that I didn't really see as far as their sound goes, because I would argue that all of their groups and artists have a pretty distinct
distinct sounds.
They don't sound
all of them,
alike the way
sure.
that like an SM or a JYP or YG, I think you could say, sound really similar. But a lot of the groups have a specific main producer. So like the founder Kim Do-hoon is the main producer for Mamamoo, and like Lee Sang-ho is for OneUs, Jeon Da-won for OneWe, Park Ji-young, different, not the JYP, Park Ji-young, not Jin-young, for Purple Kiss. So like these groups have one person that is like in charge of their sound, so their discography might be very
the branding
cohesive.
Can stay.
Exactly. But the artists underneath the umbrella of RBW, I don't think sound similar to each other.
Sure.
And they do a lot of, I will say though, they also focus a lot on vocals, because like Mamamoo, Purple Kiss, like OneUs, like all such strong vocalists all around. They have, the founder, Kim Do-hoon, I did see has multiple composition and songwriting awards from 2011. Cool. So he's got a hand. It makes sense that he's like the main guy for Mamamoo. Especially because they do so many different styles of music that it's like interesting that a group like Mamamoo that plays with their sound so much does have that one main producer. Yeah. That must be like a very... From everything that I've seen of like behind the scenes with Mamamoo and like Purple Kiss, they seem to be a very collaborative company. Yeah. Like Solar is like as involved with the company as she wants to be. Like she had a major hand in like helping with Purple Kiss, but like the other members kind of seem to like take what they want to do. And like the founder being one of the main producers for one of their main groups, like that seems rare with the exception of like JYP. But yeah, it's interesting. It seems like a slightly more close-knit, like smaller kind of in-house company. That's just kind of the vibe that I've gotten. But they have multiple subsidiaries: RBW Japan, Modern RBW, WM Entertainment. They do have DSP Media, which manages Card and the boy group Mid-A, and they formed Kara, but now Kara is under RBW. So when RBW bought DSP, they signed Kara under themselves instead. Sure. They also have Urban Works Media, Cloud R, RBW Vietnam, and All Right Music.
Oh, Vietnam. That's interesting. Yeah. I feel like that doesn't come up very often.
No, very rarely. Then in 2011, we have Fantagio, which was originally founded as NOA Entertainment, which stood for Network of Asia in 2008, but it was renamed in 2011 with a new focus on K-pop. So Network of Asia actually wasn't focused on producing K-pop music. It wasn't until 2011 when they rebranded as Fantagio, because the founder, Na Byung-jun, they had originally worked for Sidus HQ, which is a company that has come up in our like first gen episodes. But the original company NOA was focused on talent training and management primarily for actors. And then they rebranded in 2011 to train and debut K-pop idols instead. So their first group was actually a joint venture with Pledis Entertainment, and that was Hello Venus. So they managed that together with Pledis for a few years, and then that collaboration dissolved, and Fantagio like took Hello Venus without like two of the Pledis members, and then like replaced those members and continued Hello Venus without them. Other notable artists are Astro and Wikimiki. They're a pretty small company in the sense that that's kind of it. They don't really have anybody else.
And I also feel like there were headlines a year or two ago about like, is Fantagio going to run out of money? Or like they had to like get new investors and someone to like pump some cash in because like something was not going well at Fantagio.
Yeah, but they do have 3 subsidiaries and they are international, which I thought was very interesting. They have Fantagio Hong Kong, and they have a subsidiary called Metagio, which is in Singapore.
Okay.
And then they have Studio Invictus, which is a drama production studio. So they're trying to get their hands in a couple different things.
All right.
Then in 2012, we have a company called C9. This was founded by Kim Dae-soon and was originally started as a one-man company for the artist Yonha. And that one-man company was named We Alive, and it eventually merged with a few other indie labels to launch C9. So their first artist was Yoonha. But other notable artists under C9 are CIX, Signature, which is under a subsidiary of theirs called J9 Entertainment, and Epix. They also have as former artist Good Day. That was their first like group. They used to manage the rapper Cheetah for a very long time, and they also managed SES Eugene as an actress.
Okay.
But they seem to have partnerships and or mergers with like a few different companies, GG Entertainment, Bank Korea, and CI Entertainment. But I don't really know the details of it because who cares? Anyway. Two of our last 2 companies were founded very recently. We've got 2017. This is called High Up. And they were High Up was founded by Black Eyed Pilsung in partnership with CJENM Entertainment. CJENM, well, I guess it's not entertainment because CJENM is like a massively large company that does all kinds of stuff: food, beauty, TV, music, literally name it. CJ's does it. But so Black Eyed Pilsung, producers that we've done a whole deep dive on.
Listen to
see
it.
that for more. They started their own company. They were musicians themselves, producers, heavily involved in Sistar, etc. Their first and like only group.
Oh, they
right
had that
now.
one. They have the duo. They have the 2 boys. I can't remember their name now, but we wrote about it in the deep dive.
Okay,
they have
great.
a second group, and it's 2 boys.
Wonderful.
But other than that,
It's Stacy. Stacy is the group of High Up Entertainment. They have 4 trainees.
Okay,
That's
cool.
it. But in 2021, Kakao acquired High Up. So in addition to originally being a partnership with CJENM, it is now a subsidiary of Kakao. So it goes. Then our very last, most recently formed company that we are going to talk about today, don't come for me, is P Nation, which was founded in 2018 by Psy. Their very first artist was Jessie. I think we talked more about P Nation in our Gangnam Style episode because we talked more about Psy himself.
How Psy's doing.
Yeah, and we talked about like who Psy is. So more information on that. Other notable artists formerly, Hyuna, Edon, or I guess Dawn, sorry.
Edon.
I'm so sorry. That's how it was written on the Wikipedia and I just wrote it down and didn't even question it, okay?
No, it's okay.
Bad.
It's okay.
Hyuna, Dawn, and Jessie, they were the like 3 original artists that signed with P Nation. All 3 of them have left. Currently, they manage TNX, Psy, Crush, and Heiji. And personally, I have a lot of questions about what's going on at P Nation currently because they have 9 former trainees that all left in 2020 and 2021, which is also around the time that their original artists started leaving.
Right.
And now they currently have only 2 trainees. So they seem to be a bit of a mess.
Yeah. I
don't know.
I believe it. We'll see.
don't know
We'll
what's
see what
happening.
happens.
Yeah.
But it might be like a similar case of like what happened with like Rain and J-Tune of like,
yeah.
I'm a singer, like I know how to run a company, and like
And
maybe
then
you
maybe
don't
he
want
doesn't.
to.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Ooh, maybe it's hard,
Well,
and I'm
maybe-
sure it's expensive, and like
I'm
I
sure
bet
it's
it's not
very
fun,
expensive. And Psy already, as we talked about in the Gangnam Style episode, like tried to self-fund several of his albums, couldn't afford it, and went back to YG. Right. So like maybe you need to start calling up Kakao. They love
Yeah,
to.
it seems
they
like
love
Kakao
to
will
snatch
pay
up
for something if you
subsidiaries.
want them
Like
to.
go be a low-end brand. But yes, that is the last like major company that we created a rundown for. That is 18 different companies.
Yeah, that's so
that
many
is currently
companies
active in the K-pop scene. Okay,
and we know
That's a
that there
lot.
are 1,000 other ones. And
Yeah, we didn't even talk about like the little ones that managed people like Blitzers or Ace or whatever, all the or 50/50
Creeker that owns the
Exactly.
boys, because all of those are just like one group companies that are owned by Kakao or are owned by whatever.
Exactly.
So it's all very
exactly.
complicated.
Yeah. And those are called one-man companies.
Okay.
So that's like, so C9 was originally started as a one-man company for this one soloist.
Right.
And then they started to grow. But they didn't grow until they literally merged with other labels. So like a company that only manages one artist, like if that's, I think Ace is like the only group under their artist or their company, or they were for a really long time. Like they would need to either get bought out or merge with another label before they could really start expanding and like doing anything major, because shit's expensive, y'all.
It is. You got to keep these trainees housed and fed before they can even start trying to make you money. You got to have a lot of capital up front. So I understand.
That's the whole thing about like the K-pop model in general, right? Is that these companies have to, like, that's one of the reasons people criticize the contract so much is, and I'm not saying that it's not doesn't deserve criticism. I'm just stating facts here.
Yes.
But one of the main criticisms is the way that like K-pop idols debut in debt, essentially, because they did not pay for the training they received. So now you are going to pay for it out of the profits that you make, which like on paper, yes, that makes sense. And like it's shitty and it's got a lot of things to criticize about it. But like it's a wild thing that these companies are doing, investing millions of dollars in these literal children who may or may not ever become famous. Like it's such a gamble.
Yeah.
It's such a gamble.
It's such a gamble.
But people are throwing their hats in the ring every freaking day.
Every day, yeah. More companies, more groups popping up all the time. Everyone's trying to see what they can make of themselves.
Yeah. But our last thing on the list are kind of some fun exceptions. The first is some companies that were started by groups in order to stay together. So we did mention Beast as being under the label Cube because they were a major group for Cube. Like I said, 45% of their sales. But then in a whole long, complicated dispute, which we are not going to go into the details of, but maybe when we do a deep dive of them, we will. They left Cube, renamed themselves Highlight because Cube would not allow them to take their name, and started their own company called Around Us Entertainment. And I'm pretty sure Highlight is the only company.
Yes, because it's them. It's their own company. It's theirs.
There you go. One-man company.
And similarly, Shinhwa, in our last week's episode about 2003, we talked about how SM said, fuck you, Shinhwa, you can't have that name. And then they fought about it for 12 years. Once they finally won, they started Shinhwa Company.
Because it's our name
to be
now.
Shinhwa. And so they like managed themselves and have released all of their fun like comeback songs as just Shinhwa because they won.
Yeah, good for them. And then the last thing on our list is just a quick list of 10 artists who have started their own companies. And most of these companies are one-man companies with a very few exceptions. Rain Company, started by Rain. He does have one boy group under that label. But then we have Bridge, started by Hyolyn of Sistar. Team Wang for Jackson Wang. Connect Entertainment for Kang Daniel. AOMG is a hip-hop label that was originally started by J Park. This is by far the largest label on the list as far as idol-started labels go, because I believe it's now, I think AOMG is a subsidiary of like 88 Rising or something. It could be wrong.
That sounds right.
But I think they got bought out or partnered with somebody else.
Least.
But there are many artists under AOMG that are like recognizable names. Gray, Loco, Yugyeom of GOT7 and Lee Hi are all signed to J Park's label. So that's definitely like the biggest of the idol started companies for sure. SNP Entertainment was started by Kim So-hye, who is a former IOI. She is the only artist under that label. But she also, I read that she uses her own label to like promote fan signs and stuff at her parents' restaurant.
Oh, cute.
Chromosome Entertainment Group was recently started by Lei Zhang, and it is currently recruiting trainees.
All right.
Like he actually has two companies because Zhang Yixing Studio manages his own activities in China. So Yixing manages his own work under his own company and recently started a new company in order to manage other artists. So he's the only person under Zhang Yixing Studio, but he's recruiting for new people under Chromosome.
Okay, I would assume that he finally started this company because as long as he was still under SM was operating an SM studio in China just for Lei.
Yeah. So now that's Zhang Yixing Studio.
Beautiful.
Still
Love
just
it for my
Lei.
boy.
Then we have RRR Entertainment, which stands for Real Recognizes Real.
Oh my God.
And that was started by Wonder Girls Yubin and represents former Wonder Girls member Hyelim, which is so cute.
I
So
love
cute.
that.
Then we have, as you mentioned earlier, KOZ or Cause Entertainment, which was started by Zico but bought by Hybe in 2020. So that's now a subsidiary. And then last but not least, BI of Icon started his own label called 131 Label. This is also a subsidiary that I got a little bit confused about when I was reading it, but it is its own label and it produces his music. So it made
There
the
you
list.
go.
And 131 is BI.
Oh, yes, it is. That's cute. That's cute. I love that. Well, there you go. There's our updated rundown of some K-pop companies that you probably will hear about someday, sometime.
Or
And
at the
it
very
obviously-
least, a list of K-pop companies that are currently active in the K-pop industry in April 2023
Yes.
at 2:44 p.m. PS time, Tuesday, April 4th.
Yes, exactly. But I do think that it's really interesting because, like I was saying, in the first gen, like it's just SM and DSP, and then like YG shows up, but like YG was doing a very different like hip hoppy thing, and then by the time we get into the full swing of the second gen, the big three exists, right?
Totally.
SM, JYP, YG, like that's it, and everyone else is just wishing they could catch up to them.
Yeah.
And now I feel like sometimes people say like, oh, the big four to throw a big hit in there because they make the most money. But I feel like even that doesn't feel relevant. Like I feel like the playing field feels so much more
Even.
that like I don't even know if the big four is like fair because like
Yeah.
IVE is like one of the biggest groups right now in April.
Yeah,
and that's a
absolutely.
Starship company.
And I literally
group.
just read that Starship is talked about as they call like one of the 5 most
yeah,
influential
see, saying like big
companies.
five. Like now we're getting
So,
crazy.
like,
We don't need big 5. Like
yeah, I don't know.
They're
I
just
mean,
companies.
there's just a bunch of companies now, and like it is interesting kind of to lay them out chronologically, where you like sort of see like, oh, 2008 we had like 4 different companies that all came out, and so like between
and I'm sure there were a ton more, but those are the ones that have managed to stay.
stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like maybe not got immediately bought up by something else. But it is also interesting to see the way that they sort of like peter out a little bit after 2012 of like, oh, nobody's really like going, or at least nobody has really been able to like carve out a real big chunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. There's tons of companies, and the companies are constantly changing because everybody's always buying stuff, and stock markets are a thing that changes
because
other
like I said,
things. And
fucking capitalism is a disease, and all these people
there's all
who
these
are making
people
all
in
this
suits
money
in offices trading numbers and zeros and
Yeah.
on the computer and pretending like it's real.
and they didn't do shit to earn it. All of these kids are having to dance around for that money, so I don't really give a shit.
Do the dance. Do the dance, boys.
If you dance, you can have the money. That's what I say.
Absolutely.
But whatever. So anyway, I hope that was helpful and comprehensive and
accurate.
Accurate. Yes. And with that.
And if it wasn't, don't tell us.
Don't tell me. I don't want to hear it. Don't thumbs down this video.
Keep it to yourself.
Just keep it to yourself, okay? We're just trying. And with that hope to the universe, we'll be right back with a random game. All right, we are back. And this week, the random number generator gave us a former boy group from 2017 called MVP, which did stand for Most Valuable Player, which is what it stands for. So
yeah, so good on you.
Good on you for not doing something weird. This group had 7 members initially, and by the time they quietly, weirdly disbanded, there were 5 of them.
Yes. And they disbanded in 2022, according to one of the members' Instagram posts, which is never a real good sign.
Right.
But unfortunately, so they're under PH Entertainment, which is clearly a very small company because it wasn't on our list.
Obviously.
So like, who even is that? But anyway, they debuted with a full album, which was called Manifest. Oh no, sorry, it's a mini album. But then after their debut, they did not put out anything. It had 7 tracks. They did not put out anything for like 3.5 years. One of their members enlisted and like got out in the time it took. And then when they finally came back, they only came back with a single. So they have 2 mini albums and 2 singles. And then they quietly disbanded in 2022. But yeah, I don't know. Fun facts.
Fun facts. One of the members, Rayun, was a backup dancer for BTS at some point. I don't know if that was before or somewhere in the middle of this.
Maybe
I don't know.
Right in between. Who knows?
And there's also a set of twins in this group who are named Bin and Jin.
But BEEN.
Yes, Bean and Jean.
Because they're Ben, like, I've been there.
But it's written in Korean. It's Bean and Jean. But I thought that was cute. I love twins in K-pop.
Yeah.
And it looks like a bunch of them also ended up on the unit at some point.
Womp. Bummer.
But their most popular and one of their only music videos is their debut music video, which is called Take It.
Yes, and according to their fan wiki, this is supposed to be a genre called glitch step, which is a combination of glitch, hip hop, and dubstep. So I'm a little worried about what we're about to hear.
So if you want to pull up MVP Take It and watch it with us, please do so. And just press play when I say go. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Oh. PH Entertainment. Nice little opening. Okay.
A bright pink hallway.
And some glitches. We're getting the glitches.
Oh, we're getting a lot of different. Okay, this is like a stadium and a locker room. Oh. Then like a dance room. So many different. Okay,
sure. Here we go. It's so glitchy.
Listen how glitchy it is.
Yep, that's kind of what I thought it might sound like.
Sure. I want to try to see the twins. Gravelly voice. That's fun.
Yeah.
They're just like really rapidly flashing between like sitting in the locker room or in one of these like huge rooms for dancing. This kind of feels like an old school EXO music
I was
video.
gonna say that. I don't know if it's the lockers that are making me think of Love
Definitely.
Me Right,
but also the rooms kind of, they don't look like the room in Overdose, but they're the same kind
like
of
big
music
old
video. Yeah. Well, this is so far more melodic than I thought it was
like
going to
pretty
be.
harmonies in this. I like definitely don't hate this at all.
Not at all. I was worried it was going to be loud. Where are the twins? This is a pretty dance-focused music video, which is fun. I always love that.
Yeah.
But the choreo is intense. In that they're like going real hard. Very into it. Ooh, knees.
I also love that they like kind of all have the K-pop boy haircut. Like some blondes and some brunettes, but they all kind of have that.
The same haircut.
Yeah. Lots of like gel, like their hair looks kind of like wet and
Yes.
stringy. Oh, their little cute little pony mohawk moment there.
Like an undercut. Like the blonde one has that same haircut. I think they all do.
Yeah.
I do think it's the same, which is pretty funny. But I was just thinking, I was like, it would be impossible to spot the twins because if they are identical, how would you know that it's
Right.
not just the same person you're seeing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
And they all have the same haircut. So I don't know. They all kind of look like twins.
Yeah.
I like these like tough guy black outfits though. These are fun. One of them is wearing a nice little choker. I'm sure their MVP trophy. Gotta have it.
Oh, spray that champagne everywhere.
In your nice little sweater. I did see that there's also a that's a fun logo.
Yeah, that's
MVP.
cute.
I like it.
Wow.
Well, RIP MVP.
Yeah. Sorry
but
it
I
didn't
did
work out.
see that they have a choreography version of that. If you
Okay.
want to check it out, it
Nice.
exists.
Good. All right. Weekly recommendation time. Is there anything that you would like to recommend to the people this week?
Oh dear, I have been not up to date on my things. Hold on one second.
It's okay.
I'm not sure. Do you have anything?
I do have a few things I'd like to
Ooh, a
talk
few.
about this
Okay,
week.
like what?
Okay, first of all, Chotsarang is back.
Oh, okay, sure.
So always excited about that. Their new single is called Shining Bright, and it is a perfect Chotsarang song. And I love this group so much, and I want them to never change. And yeah, they're just so cute and fun, and they make such cute, fun, girly girl K-pop, and I love it. So excited about that.
Great.
Also, A-Pink is coming back this week.
Yes.
Teasers posted this morning. Song sounds great. They look beautiful. It is still kind of odd, and it like makes my heart just a little bit sad to only see 5 of them, but it's okay. Life goes on. I'm just happy that they're making something. So happy to like have my A-Pink back. So looking forward to that. Also, this isn't a recommendation, but Taemin is home and everything is right in the world. We did it. Shawls, we did it.
We did it.
We
Look
did
at
it.
us.
Who would have thought it?
All members out of the military. We did it, gang.
We did it. We did it.
We
It's
did
so
it.
exciting.
We made it. Everybody stream Taemin, your favorite thing, whatever it is, because he deserves it. Our baby's home and he has a second cat.
Yes, he got a second cat. It's all so exciting.
Oh, Taemini. That means that we're definitely going to get Shiny back
Yes.
in May for their 15th anniversary. I don't have to wait and see for that one because I know Shiny would never let me down. They've never once in their lives disappointed me. I don't think that they'll start now.
Yeah, I totally
So
agree.
looking forward to that next month because it's already fucking April.
I know it's already April. So it's happening.
Yes.
And I just wanted to make sure that you saw this because I mistakenly thought that Minhyuk had just quietly already gone to the military, but he left this morning and look at them all.
Oh, I knew we'd get a picture. Look at his haircut.
I love that Shonu's wearing a different colored t-shirt so that he really stands out.
Stands out. Shonu.
But it's very interesting to me. If somebody knows the answer to this, I'm so curious as to why they get to post this. Why does Shonu get to be in the pictures? Because I feel like other people, like when Shiny was hanging out with Timmy, like he put the pictures on Bubble and then yelled at everybody for posting them. And like they don't seem to be able to like, I don't know, like why does Shonu get to hang out with Monsta X and it's not weird?
I feel like
is it just because he still lives at home and it doesn't matter?
Well, it might depend on their type of enlistment, but I also think it might depend on the type of leave that they're on. Like they
if
might
he's
have
on vacation right now,
like
it's fine.
or if it's a sick day and like you know what I mean, like oh he took that day off, but like he's not actually on leave, so like don't post the. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows?
But it's
I'm
good
not
to
in
see
the
him
military.
anyway, so it's
Yeah,
fine.
my Shonyo. He's coming home soon.
He'll be home
too.
really soon. We're just trading.
So soon.
Just trading all these boys out. Get it in and out.
Yes. That's it.
That's it. Okay, cool. All right. If you would like to talk to us, we can be found all over the place. We are at AMA Kpop Pod on Twitter, Instagram, amakpoppod@gmail.com. You can send us email or send us voicemails, 181-AMA-KPOP5. You can also text that number. P.O. Box 26096, Los Angeles, California, 90026 for regular old mail. Head over to askmeaboutkpop.com for merch. It's about to be summer concert season. And if you need a concert bag, we sell those.
Yeah.
Clear, concert compliant bags that say Ask Me About K-Pop on them. They're
perfect
very cute.
size.
It's a good
Has
size.
a little loopy for a carabiner.
Hook it to your
I
pants.
attached a separate purse strap to it, and then boom, it was a little wraparound.
Yeah. So get one of those if you want.
They're
AskMeAboutKpop.com. Patreon.com/AMAKPopPod for bonus episodes. And Linktree/AMAKPop to go to our YouTube channel, our Spotify. You can join our Discord there. And those are all the places to find us. Thanks to our Discord listeners for being fun and funny. I enjoyed your little April Fool's Day prank. And also someone on the Discord recently did a really in-depth survey of all of the Discord listeners. And they wanted us to go through it and maybe talk about it on like a bonus episode or something. So maybe we'll dig into that. Maybe we'll put it on Patreon. Maybe I don't know. But it is very interesting to see.
Well, I do love
what y'all all have
data.
in common. I do love data. It's really fun. That's true. That's true. But that is it. Thanks for listening to this. I hope you enjoyed the update. If there are other really old episodes that you'd like to be redone, let us know because it's been a while.
And if you didn't enjoy the update, don't let us know.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Leave me alone. Okay. Love you. Bye. Jonghyun, you're our inspiration.